The Rand is still weak and is being impacted by global risk aversion and the weak domestic economy. The currency mainly traded weaker last week as global risk aversion increased and local data showed that the economy contracted in the third quarter. To help us make sense of all of this is Viv Govender. He's the portfolio manager at Rand Swiss. Viv, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. As we noted, the Rand is under pressure so far today, trading above the 19 Rand level against the dollar. What's driving moves?
Yeah, look, I mean, like you mentioned, we had a bit of strength coming through, but there's been some negativity around, some disappointing local economic news, some issues around what's been happening with, some U.S. numbers as well, making it less likely that they might be cutting, so they're still likely to be cutting very soon. All those factors together made the round break through 19, and that's an important level, actually. These weird round numbers, 19, 20, 18, whatever it may be, often have real power in the currency markets. And so once you do break above or below a level, often you can find it difficult to go the other way again. And hopefully we can get back below 19 quite soon. Otherwise, it might establish a new level.
What does that mean?
Well, what happens then is that, psychologically, there's no actual easy way to have a real valuation for a currency being exactly, compared to another currency. So often you'll find the rand trading significantly above or below its fair value compared to another currency. And often these levels are psychologically determined. That means that, people think, 20, going below 20 is a big deal. That going from 20 to 1990 is a bigger deal than going from 20 to 2010. You know what I mean? 10 cents above 20 is not as much as 10 cents below 20, psychologically. And so you'll often find that when you do break through a level like 19 and you stay above it for a couple days, then suddenly the markets are expecting 19 to be the level. So every time it goes to about 19, it says, it's too strong, and they start buying it, and that often creates its own self-fulfilling prophecy.
Global miner Anglo American aims to cut capital expenditure by $1.8 billion by 2026. Talk us through those developments.
Yeah, I mean, they've seen significant losses in terms of market capitalization, etc. Anglo American. They're also seeing real difficulty in various sectors, especially the platinum sector, which unfortunately South Africa is, the number one producer of platinum in the world. Platinum prices have been significantly lower than we want them to be. Platinum is the number one source of employment, if I'm not mistaken, in the mining sector. It's like 170,000 jobs almost, I think, are involved in it. Which is quite bad because at the current level, most of these mines are not making money. Platinum is looking at about 1,050, I think, their break-even level for platinum, and it's still below 1,000 at the moment. So what this means is job losses. It means putting things on care and maintenance, like talk about some smelters, some care maintenance, some of the shafts and so on. That's going to mean that they're going to have fewer employees, retrenchment talks, etc., which is going to be quite devastating for the people involved.
We speak of devastation. I mean, we are at Gold One Mine for our viewers in Springs this afternoon, and you've got some miners that have staged an underground sit-in. You had miners last week at Bukubung in the northwest also staging an underground sit-in. What should we understand about what is happening in this space?
Yeah, look, it's an immovable object hitting like an irresistible force, quite frankly. The miners really can't do much about, trying to make sure these mines, don't do some form of job cuts because, unfortunately, the economics don't, make some of these places viable anymore. So you're not going to have a mine producing when it's not able to make money, or could find other uses for the capital, that would make it more money elsewhere, unfortunately. And so what you are seeing is with the commodity prices, especially like the platinum price, like I mentioned, being as low as it is, that's obviously one issue. Obviously, another issue is the internal dynamics of the country. Things like the transnet problems and so on are also affecting things. And the miners are obviously trying to save, their livelihood effectively. And it's unlikely that they'll find jobs that pay as well as they are at the mines in the current economic environment. And so they have to do whatever they can to try and preserve as many jobs as they can. But like I said, it's going to be very difficult for them to maintain jobs. The one good thing is the gold mining sector. The gold price just hit all-time highs in dollar terms. So that's a very different situation from the platinum price, which is less than half of what the all-time high is at the moment.
TikTok plans to invest $1.5 billion to become controlling shareholder of an e-commerce unit. Help us make sense of the sale.
What happened here was apparently Indonesia, where the TikTok was doing business in, banned I think it's e-commerce on social media platforms. This was done to be protectionist against, for their smaller businesses on, because, people buy from, if you can buy from, for instance, TikTok, you wouldn't go down to your corner, clothing store and buy your stuff, or your corner electronics store and buy your stuff. You'd use TikTok as your avenue, and this was a business that they were working on. And now that they've lost that particular thing due to regulatory changes, they are pivoting towards, buying this e-commerce business, to make up for that loss, apparently. So, look, this is big business. I mean, people often talk about Black Friday, because it's the Friday after Thanksgiving in the U.S., and that makes, people go out and shopping because Thanksgiving is a public holiday in the U.S., and you have that Friday break and you can go do shopping and whatever. But the biggest sales day of the year is like, the ad called this, I think Alibaba's Singles Day, which is vastly larger, and that's basically driven entirely by online shopping. And even Amazon Prime Day, it does really big business as well. And so if you have these changes coming through and, it's cutting that business off, it's worth, investing in other avenues to try and basically maintain that business as opposed to just abandoning it because the regulation has changed.
Automotive supplier Bosch is set to cut up to 1,500 jobs at 2 of its German sites by 2025. What's going on?
Yeah, look, I mean, people obviously have the impression that Germany is a manufacturing powerhouse, and it is a manufacturing powerhouse. It produces a lot of stuff that the world uses basically to produce other things. They often do the higher end, manufacturing and so on. Unfortunately, what's happened is, the manufacturing sector in Germany was to a large extent dependent on things like cheap energy from Russia, which the Nord Stream pipeline being destroyed obviously affected us. So we've seen a real drop-off in terms of German manufacturing over the last, let us say, few years. Compared to like 2015, 8 years ago, if you use that as the index of 100, I think the current level is about 96. So they've done about 4% in the last 8 years, which is not really a good sign. You want to be seeing manufacturing increase over year, or any sector in the economy increase year on year. That's a normal pattern. When you drop it 4% in like 5 years, or 8 years, sorry, it's not a great sign. So we are seeing structural changes happening in the German economy without that cheap energy, like I said, and that's going to be a problem for the German economy going forward. And beyond that, there's long-term structural issues as well around demographics. The German population is aging quite rapidly. Huge amount of elderly people. A lot of people are going to be retiring soon, and they don't have a young population that's going to be taking up that workforce. And so many people are looking to move to places like Poland, etc. So, it kind of makes sense that Bosch is cutting stuff down in Germany and maybe looking at elsewhere in the world to basically produce.
All right. Finally, Viv Govender, Eskom has a new CEO. You spoke about the psychology of the Rand's movement. I do wonder what psychology tells us with this appointment.
Yeah, look, it's like Manchester United getting a new coach. It means nothing, quite frankly. We are in a situation where, maybe the first couple of times these things happened, you'd say, okay, yeah, there's a hope, for something to be done. But right now, we've seen enough new, CEOs, enough new coaches or whatever, that we know what the pattern's going to be. They're going to come in, some of them will try and make a lot of statements about what they can and cannot do, etc. You would have a lot of drama around people like Andre de Ruyter and so on. But it's not been possible for anyone so far to turn that around. The CEO that can will go down as one of the great, leaders in South African, government and business, if you can do that. Unfortunately, we've not seen any signs that anyone has been capable of doing that at the moment. And we've tried many. So unfortunately, I think that the energy sector in South Africa is being stealthily privatized on the stealth. Businesses, individuals are going for solar, they're going for, other options, renewables, etc. And they're getting out of the Eskom business effectively. And like I said, this is not a great way to do it, but this is what's happening right now. And Eskom, I don't see turning around anytime soon.
All right, Viv Govender, thank you very much for your contributions.